how do I bring up the topic? How do I bring up the subject without coming across like salesy or desperate or needy or creepy? That's a very good, very, very good question to ask because quite a few people do this wrong.
There are millions of real estate investors out there, and most are stuck with just a couple of properties. They want financial freedom, but their small portfolio ends up costing them more in time, effort, and money than it's worth. Getting out of the rat race seems harder than ever. This show will help you do more deals, better deals, and bigger deals. Finally, you'll be able to reach your income and lifestyle goals. How? By attracting and leveraging private money partners and their capital. Now get ready to raise more money, because here's your host, Dave Dubeau.
Well, hey, it's Dave. Welcome back to the How to Raise Capital 101 show, episode 17. And one of the questions that comes up quite often with folks when they're first getting started with raising capital is they ask, well, Dave, how do I bring up the topic? How do I bring up the subject without coming across like salesy or desperate or needy or creepy? That's a very good, very, very good question to ask because quite a few people do this wrong. So today, in today's episode, I really want to talk about priming the pump for your investors, getting things off to the right, on the right foot, getting things started properly with the whole capital conversation. And what I actually recommend is that you don't start right off the get-go talking about raising capital. So if you recall our money partner formula process, this whole roadmap, the first 9 episodes of the podcast are all about this. In the second phase of this whole process, the launch phase, the first step of that launch phase is what we call classy capital connections. And this is getting started on the right foot with your prospective investors, not just rushing in like a bull in a china shop saying, hey, I'm Dave, I've got the deals, have you got the dough, right? You don't want to be doing that. You want to start off by reconnecting with people on a personal level first, and then transition the conversation into real estate investing and potentially partnering up with you in one of your deals, right? You don't want to just rush right in, because if you do that, you're just going to turn off a lot of really good prospective investors because you're so clumsy about this. And unfortunately, well, this is what I did back in the day. I rushed in like the bull in the china shop, and I see so many people doing this these days as well. It kind of reminds me of network marketers. And no offense to anybody who's in network marketing or MLM, but typically they just charge in, or people in the insurance business kind of do this, and financial planners, right? It's go out and talk to everybody you know, your friends and your family members, and pitch them on your stuff. Well, that's a smart idea, but there's a good way to get started that works a lot better than just rushing in out of the blue, right? So what we call this is, we call this our classy capital connections, or our warm-up process. So when we're working with our clients, we'll set up this very, very simple 3-step email campaign as the first shot across the bow, so to speak, when it comes to raising capital. And we've got 3 different messages that go out, typically over a week to a 10-day time frame. So it could be, if you're doing this in a week, first message goes out on a Monday, second message goes out Wednesday, third message goes out on Friday. And the first 2 messages, I'm not going to go into those in too much detail right now. You can refer back to, I believe it's episode number 4, if you'd like a little bit more information about that. But the first 2 messages are really about that personal reconnection, And the first version of this is just a regular email where you catch people up on what you've been up to for the last 3, 4, 5 years, you, the family, what you've been doing personally, what you've been doing for work, the good stuff, the not so good stuff in your life. And then you really work on, trying to get people to respond to that message. Well, hey, that's what I've been up to. How about you? How are you doing? Please reply back to this message. I'd love to reconnect. Now, a lot of people are very nervous about doing this whole thing, which makes sense. I mean, a lot of people that are on your prospective investor list are folks that you've probably been out of touch with for 3, 4, 5, 10 years. 15 years, 20 years or more, right? So it can be kind of nerve-wracking to start the conversation. However, if you follow this process, it works very, very, very well. So in fact, what I want to do right now is share an actual case study. This is Candace. Candace is one of our clients, and we just actually, at the point that I'm recording this, just a couple of days ago, she had a conversation with my associate Gord, and he was asking her how the process of the warm-up campaign was going for her. And before she started this, Candace was very, very nervous about this. I mean, she was concerned that she hadn't connected with a lot of these people in a long time. She was worried that it might come across as a little bit hokey. She was concerned that people would be skeptical about hearing from her out of the blue like this. She was worried about how this was going to reflect on her professionally, all this kind of stuff. So she had all of this stuff going on in her head. But to her credit, she trusted in the process. She went ahead. She did it anyhow. Have a little listen to how well this, just even the first two messages have worked for Candace.
It's been going amazing. So I have been able to, just in the first email alone, I think I got like 15 replies, genuine like emails, people giving me updates on how they're doing, people I haven't connected with in almost a decade. Everybody was so happy to sort of like, who hadn't been in contact with me in a long time, they were so happy to reconnect. And then the response in return, wow, I didn't expect that communication level, but it was amazing. And they already are making inquiries, and saying that they're interested.
So it's worked really, really well for Candace. She was nervous about it at the beginning, but she did it, and she's absolutely thrilled with the response. So those are the first two messages. And those are nice and warm and fuzzy. There's no talk about real estate investing. We're not trying to manipulate people or encourage people to invest with us right from this. It legitimately is a reconnection. However, after that, we got to figure out a way to switch the conversation and start talking about real estate. We need to redirect the conversation towards real estate investing, let people know that we're going to be talking about what we're up to with real estate and edutaining them about that. So we need to transition. That's why I call this the transition message. We need to set the stage for everything that's going to be coming down the pipeline with the rest of our marketing. And we need to position it properly so we don't turn people off and kind of leave people with a bad taste in their mouth thinking that we did kind of a bait and switch type thing. So here's what we do. And this is really important when it comes to the transition message, that you do it properly, right? So the whole goal of the transition is to transition people from just warm and fuzzy and reconnecting on a personal level and transition them towards that real estate conversation. It's to give them a heads up that that's exactly what we're going to be doing. And it's to let people know that we're planning on continuing to stay in touch with them on a regular basis, and that we're going to start talking about what we're up to with real estate investing, why we think this is so great, why we think this might be a good option for them if they haven't considered that before. We're going to let them know that we are not just interested in this, but this is something that we're actively doing. We're very passionate about it. And we do something kind of counterintuitive that throws a lot of people off, but it makes so much sense. And when I explain it, you'll understand why. Is we actually encourage people to opt out, to click unsubscribe if they'd rather not hear what we're up to with real estate investing. So it's very important that you do this transition message properly. And I'm going to show you how right now. I'm going to do a live demo. So let me see if I can blow up my mug here. There we go. So if I were doing a transition message, it would go something like this. Hey, it's Dave again. It's been really good reconnecting with you over the last week or so. I just want to let you know that moving ahead, I plan on doing a much better job of staying in touch and letting you know what I'm up to with real estate investing. Real estate is something I'm very passionate about. I'm doing really well with it. And in fact, I think real estate is the best way for everyday folks like you and like myself to get an above average return on our money backed by a solid, tangible asset, a real piece of property. This is a great way to not only keep up with inflation, but to surpass inflation, get a really good return on our money. And who knows, maybe sometime in the future, you might even want to partner with me and share in the profits of one of my deals. But you know what? If you're really not interested in real estate, that's okay too. You can always click unsubscribe at the bottom of any of my emails, and you'll be taken off my list immediately. Now, my feelings will be hurt for a little while, but eventually I'll get over it. All right. Now, in the meantime, if you haven't had a chance to get back to me and let me know how you're doing, please, please, please hit reply to this email and let's catch up. I'd love to hear what you're up to and how you and the family are doing. All right. Until the next time, take care. And I look forward to hearing from you soon. Okay. Send that off to everybody as part of this campaign. And it's going to work like gangbusters, you guys. All right. This works so well. This is why we do this as part of our done for you, done with you services with all of our clients. This is really the first bit of marketing that we send out. The whole goal is to set the stage, reconnect with people, because there is capital in those connections, and then transition the conversation towards real estate investing. So if you noticed in that transition message that I just demonstrated to you, we did a lot of different things, right? So we got started by saying, it's been really good reconnecting with you over the last week or so. Just want to give you the heads up that I plan on doing a much better job of staying in touch, right? So we're giving people the heads up that the communication is going to keep happening. And then we say, and letting you know what I'm up to with real estate investing. Okay, so now we're going to be moving the conversation towards real estate investing. Real estate is something I'm very passionate about. I'm doing really well with it. Okay, so say that if that's true. If you're actively investing in real estate deals and you've done well with it, that's what you want to say. And then I say something along the lines of, real estate is something I'm very passionate about. In fact, I think real estate is the best way for everyday folks like you and like myself to get an above average return on our money backed by something solid, tangible, real property, right? So we talk about why we love real estate, why real estate rocks, everything else sucks, right? Why this is great for everyday folks. This is not just for the elite. This is not just for the super wealthy. This is for folks like you and like myself, right? And who knows, maybe sometime in the future, you might even want to partner with me and share in the profits of a deal. Ooh, sharing the profits of a deal. That creates that curiosity. And then we encourage people, if they'd rather not hear about it, to opt out. If you'd rather not hear about it, that's okay too. Click unsubscribe. You'll be taken off my list immediately. Then I give them a little bit of a guilt trip. My feelings will be devastated, but eventually I'll get over it. I say that tongue in cheek with a smile on my face, but it's a little bit of a niggle there. And here's the thing, you guys. Some of the questions that come up from people before they've done this is, well, Dave, if I tell people to opt out, if I'm starting with a couple hundred people on my list, I'm going to have like 3 or 4 left at the end of this whole thing. Everybody's going to opt out. That has not been our experience. In fact, we've done this several hundred times with several hundred different clients at this point. And typically, if you've got a couple of hundred people on your list, we're usually seeing somewhere between 3 and 6 opt-outs total. Not 3 to 6%, not 20%, not 50%, not 80%, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 people opting out throughout these 3 emails, right? Why is it such a low opt-out rate? 2 reasons. Number one, it's the target group you're going after. We're talking with people that you've got a pre-existing relationship with, right? Friends, family members, coworkers, business associates. You know them, they know you. So they're not going to opt out because they like you, okay? So if it was going out to complete strangers, yeah, you'd have massive opt-outs and complaints and spam complaints and all that kind of stuff. We're not going out to strangers. We're going out to your existing network. Very, very important that you remember that. So the other reason we got low opt-outs, we give them a little bit of a guilt trip there. Hey, if you opt out, my feelings will be hurt. I'll get over it eventually. Okay, so people don't want to hurt your feelings, so they won't do that. And then the other reason why we get very low opt-out rates is we create curiosity. Especially when we say, hey, who knows? You might even want to partner with me and share in the profits of a deal, right? Share in the profits. Oh, profit motive. That gets people curious, right? So these are all the different reasons why we typically have very, very low opt-outs during this process and why it works so well for setting the stage for everything that's coming down the pipeline. Now, some other people say, well, Dave, isn't that a little bit sneaky? Isn't it kind of like bait and switch? You got those first couple of messages, they're all warm and fuzzy, and then you change gears on people and say, hey, I'm going to start talking to you about real estate. Don't people feel duped and kind of have a bad taste in their mouth when you do that? No, they don't. And here's why. Because those first 2 messages are a genuine reconnection, right? When you're asking people to reply back to you, you're asking people, just like we saw with Candace, people are getting back to you. You're telling them about your life. They're telling you about their lives. You're going back and forth a little bit. You're having a genuine connection with people, right? So there's nothing sneaky or ulterior motives around that. I can't speak today. It's completely upfront, okay? And then that transition message, we're telling them right up front. We're being perfectly transparent. Hey, plan on doing a much better job of staying in touch, letting you know what I'm up to with real estate investing. Right? Black and white right there. And if they don't want to hear about it, that's okay. They can unsubscribe. A few of them will. That's just the way it goes. And that's perfectly fine. Because here's the reality. Those people that unsubscribed were never going to invest with you anyhow. All right? You can still be friends with it. It doesn't matter. But they weren't going to be investors. And the people that stay on board, especially those folks that actually you have that connection with, there is capital in those connections. All right, you guys. So that's what this is all about. This is our second phase of the whole money partner formula process. It's the first step of the second phase, or if fourth step, if we're going step by step by step. And if you want more information about that, if you want a quick review of that, just go back to episode number 4 of this podcast. That's where we talked about this whole classy capital connections a little bit more in depth. But today, we really unwrapped the importance of doing this transition message, because the first 2 messages are great for breaking the ice, reconnecting, having that personal connection. But we need to have that transition message to bridge the gap between just warm and fuzzy, all personal, to now we're starting to talk business. Does that make sense? So here's your homework. Here's your task. Make sure when you're getting started with raising capital, you do not just rush in like a bull in a china shop. Take the time. It does take a little extra time. Of course it does, but it's going to set you up for success if you have this intermediary step in between where you have this legitimate connection and this transition. So do the classy capital connections. All right. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, then go ahead. Really would appreciate your feedback. If you could leave us an honest review and a rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts, that would be truly appreciated. All right. Until the next time, take care. This episode is brought to you by MoneyPartnerFormula.com. Our Money Partner Formula service allows you to raise all the private capital you need to do all the deals you want while we handle the hard stuff. We offer reliable and affordable done-for-you marketing services that get you investor meetings booked without all the work. So go ahead and check out the website right now, and then feel free to schedule a call with me, and let's take your portfolio to the next level. Again, that's MoneyPartnerFormula.com. Watch investor meetings pop up in your calendar. We handle the rest.